So I'm sure you woke up this morning and you heard the news that everybody has been talking about lately over the past several hours, if not the whole day. And that is the legal battle between Scarlett Johansson and Disney. Basically, long story short, it was first reported that Scarlett Johansson has, sued Disney for breach of contract because her contract as part of the MCU, as part of Marvel Studios, and by portraying the Black Widow character, said that she would get big payoffs. She would get decent revenue, for theatrical release only. It said nothing in the contract of, the movie she would be part of, especially the one focused on her character only, would be simultaneously released on Disney Plus's Premium Access for $30. She wasn't told that. So, long story short, and you can check out other people that have talked about this, she feels the contract was breached, and thus she is suing Disney because of that by taking them to the LA County Supreme Court. Well, Disney later on, because they didn't comment too much on it when it first happened, decided to pull out their ace card in their deck called COVID. And basically by pulling this out and saying in response, yeah, Scarlett, you might have a point, but let us remind you of what happened last year and that we're currently in the tail end of right now, and why some people are still reluctant to go to theaters even if they're fully vaccinated or partially vaccinated. It's because of this. So guess what? You don't really have any true argument or reason to sue us, because we have a legit reason, global reason, why we couldn't fully put it in theaters, last year or even now. And, you hear all this, and you hear people reporting on this, and it's very intriguing. It's very interesting because both sides do have a legitimate argument, do have legitimate points. Now, Scarlett, along with people that support her, could come out and say, well, that is true, but since you did mention we're in the tail end of it, then there's no real need to do the premium access stuff anymore, and you could just focus on theaters only. Which is a fact, which is a true fact. They can do that, but then again, they could pull that COVID card out again, that ace of theirs out again, and say, yeah, you have a point, Scarlett, but like we just told you, people are still reluctant, even if they're fully vaccinated or partially or whatever. So, yeah, everybody's looking at this, they're talking about us, they're getting a kick out of it. People like Geeks and Gamers, they're getting a chuckle out of it, because this is something that's just a prime visual, big-time visual example of what the wokeness movement, the SJW movement, the cancel culture movement, the Karen's movement, if you will, is, how it's affecting Hollywood, how it's affecting movies and shows and stuff. That this is the end result. And that if you don't want this to happen, you need to get away from it. You need to put your support for that activism of all those groups, aside. Put it to the back burner and focus on what the movie or the show needs to truly be. So that way you can avoid this kind of stuff. You can avoid this. Because the way, Scarlett Johansson's putting it, it sounds like out of all the MCU movies that have come and gone, hers is being singled out as being the only one that's getting a simultaneous release. Because it's, led by a female character. And that is untrue. Well, at least that's the impression I'm getting from some of the reports. But that is untrue because Captain Marvel got it. Got a theatrical release, I should say. So she's wrong in that perspective, but But again, some people can understand where she's coming from. So it's an interesting situation right now between Disney and Scarlett, and basically it's one of those legal battles that you want to keep an eye on to see who's going to come out on top and how it's going to affect one's future with the other. Some are assuming that Scarlett's still going to work with them, even after it's all said and done. Some are assuming she's pretty much out the door, and that, the role she had with another Disney movie could be recast. It's totally crazy, if you will. It's totally crazy, and it's like I said, it's one of those legal battles you just, kind of keep an eye on to see what the end result's going to be and who's going to come out on top. So that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know how you feel about it down below in the comments, as well as on the live chat during the premiere, and I am out.